Peace, peace, peace to the pieces of the all. Peace to the all masters. Peace to the all masters. Everybody within the all, everybody within the isms, everybody within the prisms. This is New.L, also known as Jonix, flowing in with a very deep video today. And I'm excited to really get into this. I spent a good amount of time into collecting these videos and collecting my points. So let's get straight to the point. Today, I want to acknowledge us all as a part of a oneness or a collective. And we all are in the same boat in this life. And right now, to keep it straightforward, we need each other. And we would be wise to put our resources together and become a source or a resource for ourselves. So, point is that we need to become a resource unto ourselves and for each other and put our resources together and create something better. And beyond better, we need to create a sustainable way of living on this planet, because right now we're not creating a sustainable way of living. And today what I plan to show us is every day we've been doing, not all of us, but just collectively, every day, the things that we do every day are leading to the destruction of the planet in yourself. And so you can only imagine how long can this keep up. And so I'm gonna roll the tape. And after that, I'm going to show you solutions and provide solutions, right? Because we have solutions to these things. I think sometimes we just need more awareness on them and a broader perspective that can bridge the gaps, right? To create that bridge. So today, we're gonna look into the first one that I love to talk about, because we wash our face, brush our teeth, and we, drink water, and everybody loves water. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how you get your drinking water. I'm going to show you how you get your drinking water from the rivers into the sewer and the filtration systems, and then into your house, and then from your house and back down into the drain, into another filtration system, if it's even that, into, let's just say out into the rivers or wherever else again. And then we pull that same back. All right, so I'm going to show y'all that. So I'm going to start by screen sharing real quick. And why this is so important, guys, is because we are drinking the same water, not the exact same water, but we are drinking the same water that we are putting out into the world. And the craziest thing is that to filter a lot of these things in our water that's coming from the rivers, we have to have certain types of filters. And if these filters cannot filter everything, it's like, then what are we actually drinking? I'm not saying that the waters in the rivers are necessarily bad for us. I don't know that. However, I do know also at the same time that things like fluoride ended up in our water and chlorine ended up in our water as cleaners, the same way they do for pools and stuff. And they think that just little degrees of that somehow help out. And so I wanted to know too, when it comes to fluoride, that it's not good for you. It's not good for you to consume outside of what it can do for your teeth. Once you consume it in your drinking water, it then starts to do the exact opposite for your teeth. So it's not even a sustainable idea to that degree. So really, I guess when it comes to it, humanity has been doing a lot of unsustainable ideas before actually thinking it through. So we're gonna look into how do we get our clean drinking water. But we're gonna go into because we know the myriad of ways to get clean drinking water, but we want to know what is the water that's coming out of the faucets in your kitchen? What is the water that's coming from your house? Okay, we know how to get clean water. What are they doing? Like, what is the water that you showering with? What is the water that you putting in your mouth when you brush your teeth? You know what I'm saying? That you gargling your mouth with, the inside of your mouth, such a sensitive and sensual place. You know what I mean? So yeah, let's see. So this is wastewater treatment. I want to find one that talks about like the drinking water and wastewater. There we go. There we go. So I did watch this video. I'm gonna
From drinking water to wastewater to nature and back again. Let's start.
hold up. Tell me what?
I'm Jake O'Neill,
What's up, Jake?
creator of Animagraphs, and this is how city water purification works.
Talk to me, man.
From drinking water to wastewater to nature and back again. Let's start with drinking water, which comes from surface sources like rivers, lakes, and reservoirs, or from underground wells or springs.
So yeah, I heard that. Rivers, lakes, and reservoirs. Also underground wells. I just had to emphasize that just so you know for sure, for a fact, if you didn't know before, you're getting your water from the external sources that you probably don't even pay attention to. The rivers, lakes, reservoirs, probably waterfalls, springs, right? They go out into nature and find these reservoirs of waters and they pull it from there. And then they put it back after they're finished with it.
Water treatment plants have near endless variations in design. So I've chosen major components and processes to create
the whole process.
general
We're not going to go
working
through the whole
model.
process. You have to do that
Cylindrical
on your own
intake
time, just
screens
research it.
placed in a reservoir in such a way to best avoid ingesting silt from the reservoir bottom or floating material from the surface. A lift house with vertical pumps draws water from a well and into the treatment plant.
See that? The whole process is going
The
up.
purification process starts with coagulation and flocculation. Particles suspended in water like clay, sand, and some larger organic particles such as algae.
So pretty much this is just a purification system. Like how they're taking this water and like, you know, it's just like a filter, you know, like they gotta have something to strain this shit. Because there's all types of algae in there, all types of bacteria in there, all types of microorganisms floating up in the water out in nature. You know what I mean? That's just being, you know, people going in and out of that water. So they need some way to do that. So I'm not gonna continue playing this. I do want there is one part I want you to see. The final destination.
Filtered water flows to final disinfection in the UV tank. Water passes through banks of ultraviolet lights. UV light at various wavelengths can destroy or disrupt viral, bacterial, and other pathogens' DNA or cellular structure, effectively destroying them. Wastewater flows from our homes through the municipal collection system or city sewer pipes to a wastewater treatment plant, where it's processed before being released into a natural water source. The headworks is a group of processes that removes large debris and heavier inorganic particles from the incoming wastewater flow. Water arrives at the plant mostly by gravity. Depending on local geography, it may need to be pumped or lifted into the wastewater plant. Screw pumps are a rugged, mechanically simple design built to handle this coarse, incoming mixture. Bar screens trap debris, including literal tons of items that really shouldn't be flushed or sent down the drain, such as baby wipes, Q-tips, diapers, paper towels, medication, and so on. A moving platform called a rake scrapes the bars, removing the debris for separate processing and disposal. The water then travels to the grit chamber to remove heavier, inorganic, gritty particles like sand, silt, clay, coffee grounds, eggshells, and so forth, while allowing lighter organic material to pass through. A spinning plate with fins, called an impeller, creates an axial vortex, which is a sort of vertical spiral force along its spin axis.
So there you have it. Pretty much what's happening here is that water comes in through a natural environment and it gets filtered in a myriad of different ways via chemicals, via filtrations, and whatever they can to keep the water that's incoming for your drinking water and your using water to have less things that are not natural or needed. And then also when we put it out, we want to filter it to make sure that, because we will be grabbing from this natural resource again, that we're not putting too much other shit. So imagine all of the drugs that we put down the water, like in the, you know, the toilet and your fucking sink and all of these things, you know. So that's how you know that they had to come up with a way to filter it even when they put the wastewater out, so that they know they can, you know, nature's gonna do its thing and we're gonna pull back from it and we can feel safe about that, right? To some degree. So this is your drinking water. As you can see, these filtration systems are not perfect. Humans, it can only be so perfect. And so we're coming up with different ways sustainably to go about this, right? So for water, it's like, first off, I get what they're probably trying to do here because they have a high, like they're doing it for like a huge amount of people. And so I don't think we necessarily need all of that necessarily to, I mean, it's great, but I think that if we had individual villages or something like that, then we could monitor our water source and we could even find ways to keep the water clean. Like this, it's not coming to me right now, but there's so many ways to keep the water clean outside of doing it like this and outside of even using certain things. I love the filtration systems. I can't flex about that. I think there's just a level of how we're going about living, which is making it like we're living in a very unnatural way. So that's causing us to have to do things in an unnatural way to sustain it. So it's not sustainable because it's going to then destroy itself. So key word here is that every day we use, I mean, key thing here is that every day we use water. And if we continue this process of having our having fluoride, oh, I got to show y'all that there's fluoride in your water. Gotcha. Yeah, like now you're just like, well, that's how the filtration system works. But who said we have fluoride in our water, right? Right. Who said we have fluoride in our water? Well, is there fluoride in our water? You know, I haven't seen these videos. You know, I'm trying to be mindful about which one I click so that I don't waste my time with anybody trying to be clickbait or nothing like that. So because I know the information is so real, it's like I'm gonna just click one. It's like I ain't even gotta see all of the videos that everybody posts about fluoride being in our water to know that fluoride is in our water. Let's know this shit. So
They reflect
you know what I
each of
mean?
us.
You're gonna see.
Could we have been? Hi, I'm Dr. Joe Nemeth. I'm a periodontist in Southfield, Michigan, and I found it a little disturbing to recently discover 2 articles published only this month about possible side effects of fluoride, particularly the fluoride in our water. This was a study done at Mount Sinai and published in Environmental International.
So I just want to say, he said he already lets you know straight up, like, bro is an OG, you know what I'm saying? This video, fluoride in our water, just to let y'all know, like, how this shit goes. 3 years ago, fluoride has been incorporated into our community drinking water ever since the 1940s. Although fluoride has many proven benefits for oral health, by reducing dental cavities and shit, there has been recent researches that brought doubt into the effectiveness of community water fluoridation. All right. So this is just what this man is about to say. Let's go, OG.
And it talks about fluoride diminishing kidney and liver function in adolescents. And this is of concern. Now, we don't know which adolescents may be affected, if they already have somewhat compromised liver or kidney function. But nevertheless, this is something that is interesting and the first time I've read or heard about it. The second study, which may be even more pertinent, is, and this was published in August, Journal of the American Medical Association Pediatrics, and it's talking about pregnant women who drank more fluoridated water had children with 3 or 4 points lower by age 3 or 4 on their IQ. So lower IQ on children of women who drank more fluoridated water. Now, the American Dental Association says one study is not enough. Well, one study is not enough, and they need to do more. But certainly it raises concerns. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control has called fluoridation of water one of the top 10 most important advancements in public health in the 20th century. On the other hand, this
Now, the Center of Disease Control is called the CDC. They said this is one of the top important. I'm gonna say this. Look at all of them. What do they know about life? They saying this is the top health advancement. What do they look like? They know they some guys in suits in a room, not outside in nature, talking about some shit. They don't even know what they're talking about. I'm gonna just say that. Like, who said that? CDC. Who are y'all? I'm gonna let y'all live because that's one.
is interesting, and I never knew this. But about 4 years ago, in 2015, the recommendation was lowered for the amount of fluoride in the water. It had been 0.7 to 1.2 parts per million. Now they don't want it more than 0.7 parts per million. So they're already starting to lower the amount of fluoride in the water. They may have whatever reasons they have, supposedly staining or fluorosis of the teeth, but who knows? You know, it's interesting, despite wide fluoridation, which has lowered the caries rate or the decay rate of individuals here in the United States significantly, it hasn't.
So there you have it. I want to show you one more thing because he mentioned the thing about the tooth enamel. So most people will be like, oh, but fluoride is so good for you, man. It's a flex, bro. Like, no, it's all conspiracy. Fluoride is good for your teeth. It keeps your teeth white. Well, I'm going to tell you this because you can look this up right now. How teeth looks with consuming fluoride. All right. So here, tooth discoloration, the first thing you see. And you just type in a simple question on Google. That's why I'm loving this shit right now. And it says consumption of too much fluoride leads to yellowed or brown teeth. What the fuck? There's fluoride in my water. With regular brushing, it is easy to avoid and therefore does not poses any risk. So if you just put that water in that little toothpaste and you just stay on the teeth enamel, right? And don't let it necessarily touch your gums too much or the inside of your, like the pink parts, you'll be kind of good. And you can do that safely. Boom. And when you rinse it out, maybe you can rinse it out with alkaline water that you bought from the store. But once you go for that motherfucking, and I do it too. So I know I'm still mining my reprogramming. It's like, but the second you go for that water, just to rinse your teeth out, that's fluoride. Boom, right there. Getting in your mouth, which is the quickest way through your bloodstream. Right under your tongue. That's the craziest part. So the fluoride gets right in there. Heard. Not fear-mongering, enlightenment. So we can make a change. All right. So that's just one. That's just one. All right. So next, I only got like 40 minutes, so I do want to make this very conscious. Like, so next is, okay, we know how that's happened to our water. Now we know that on a massive scale, we need to change that. And people may not think that is important because they're not paying attention to the effects of metals inside of your body that are not necessarily harmonic for your health. So we'll wake up to that eventually. Another thing I want to talk about on a whole nother note is grounding. Grounding, putting these toes on the earth, being connected to the earth, being out in nature, living a lifestyle that is in tune with nature, putting your body on the earth, connect back to your motherboard, right? Like, we want to create a sustainable way of living. We must first understand nature and our nature and how we connect to nature so that we can then bridge the gap. If I am nature and that is nature, how do I relate to that? And how do I exist with that? And how does this ecosystem supposed to work in a way that is sustainable? Right? So when we talk about the human body, we must remember this human body comes from the earth and is going back to the earth. So it's for sure connected to this earth and the sun. So when we talk about grounding, I'm going to show you guys the tremendous benefits of grounding. And I want to say this first. Grounding is important because it will show you that you are an electrical being, and thus there are electromagnetic fields that are happening on the earth and through your body, energy. And when you put your feet on the earth, because you're an energetic electrical being, you are connecting back to the thing that can, like, you're connecting back to the motherboard. That's the best way I can say it. And it's like connecting back to a source of energy. You're putting your feet on a grounding pad that's going to pull energy out and circulate it because the earth has its own magnetic field. And so that's just the nature of our relationship to it. And what this does is it allows us to stay healthy, right? When our feet is on the ground and we are out in nature and we are in the sun, there's one similar thing that happens with all of those: circulation. Oh, get in the sunlight, your body starts circulating. Put your feet on the ground, your body starts circulating. Your blood starts circulating. Get in the sunlight, your blood starts circulating. Feet on the ground, your blood starts circulating. So nature is a good circulatory system. And so I'm going to show you guys today why grounding is so important. And there's a whole movie, a documentary on grounding that I can't show you here. What I can do is show you the video. It's called Grounding, the grounded documentary film about earthing. That's what they call it, too, earthing. All right, so this is an hour-long documentary film. I suggest y'all to really go check this out. It's highly insightful.
Oh, he's my miracle child.
And I think
So
y'all would
does
really
your
love this.
miracle child get cancer?
I think I would really love this one right here.
Only no pain in my back whatsoever.
I'm not gonna play this one though, because this is a lot of information right here on this one documentary, but I do have a another video that I want to show y'all that is quite direct. All right, so our brother here, he has a little microscope. He's gonna measure his maybe his auntie's and his grandma's blood cells before they go grounding outside, and then he's gonna measure it after. So let's keep him.
Today, we're gonna see how the earthing, the grounding affects your blood. We're gonna take her blood, put it on the slide, microscopic slide, take a look.
Look at her. She just trust this man. That must be her like son or something.
As
So
you
look at
can
that blood.
see, all her red blood cells are stacked up. This is called a stacked up cell.
All right, stacked up, or you can say coagulated, right? Like I want to say this: when we eat a lot of mucus forming foods and we live a mucus forming or a stagnant life, our body and our mind, all that shit happens in the same way. So here you see her blood cells all coagulated together. That means that they're like in clumps, like blood clots. And so they can and if the more blood that she creates and they all get clotted, it's like there's like, you will see that it'll create blockages, right?
And see, let's go see if the earthing can help improve a little. They're actually earthing right now. and they're just sliding to ground. So we'll see them back in 10 minutes. Let's see how the earthing or the grounding has affected their blood.
Look at this, a whole new nigga. That's a whole new body. Look at that, way different. That's a whole new body. You see how much circulation is there? Like there ain't no clots. She literally just went for a walk in the sunlight and she put her feet on the ground. Look at that.
As you can see, the blood, before and after the earthing, it's obviously
So you know what blood clots cause and inflammation cause? Aching and pain. Pain and aching in your body and your mind and your soul. Because there is no magnetic field, there's no HEMP, high energy magnetic pulse. There's no space in between. That's why stretching is important. So this is literally healing. I'll leave it at that. So now she's probably more relaxed.
changed. So
So I want to say that imagine if she lived a lifestyle, or if we lived a lifestyle where we were always grounding. And I want to add to this, rubber shoes are interesting because rubber is a perfect what? When we build in the house, what do we use rubber or what do people use rubber for anyway? Why is rubber an insulator? Rubber is an insulator, right? Why is rubber a good insulator? Talk to me. Tightly bounded electrons in rubbers are not free to be shared with the neighboring atoms. This causes the electrons to slow down, which makes it a great insulator. So essentially, they're tightly packed. So you're not getting in between them. So essentially, they're trying to make your cells look like how rubbers look on an atomic level. Tightly packed. So that energy cannot flow through this motherfucker. Like, they is not trying to have that. You know what I mean? And when energy cannot flow through, disharmonies happen within the body, mind, and soul. So this is some important shit to know, because I may be flying past it, but this is some important ish to know about yourself. Okay? Because you are an energetic being. You are atoms. You are electrons. So when you think about health, think about that too. Think about health in the terms of energy. All right? Because you are an energy being. You are an infinite soul. You are the solar system. All right? All right, so we know that rubber is a good little insulator over there, okay? And we know that we need to be grounded right now because, or we need to at least create a grounding pad, buy a grounding pad, or do some daily grounding in your life. Put your feet on the earth. Go fucking put your body in the earth. Actually, just one thing I want to show in that documentary, on the earthing documentary, because it was a beautiful documentary. I'm not gonna flex. This shit had me almost crying. I'm about to cry.
These are those rhombohedron crystals in your pineal gland. When those crystals become electrically activated,
Them adds a new level nowadays.
inspired by the moon,
Them adds a new level nowadays. They know exactly what you want to hear. They're trying to serve as your intuition and suggest ideas that you might want to hear. Like it. Your attention though, make your ADHD a little bit. You know what I mean? Right here.
Earth surface. No wonder so many people walk around fat, sick, and nearly dead. Sometimes nothing prepares us for the devastating stress and emotional upheavals that can lay claim to your life. The first thing grounding does is calm the nervous system. It soothes the left side of the brain. It synchronizes the right and left brain.
Oh, we getting.
Where I found pain relief was to do what the ancient
We got
did.
crazy out here, fam. Hold
Immerse
on.
myself unclothed into the It's like throwing a bucket of water on a fire as opposed to using just a cup. More exposed skin allows the earth electrons to flow into one with much more volume and intensity. An event was taking place now. It involved grounding 1,000 people all at the same time during a 70-minute presentation organized by Clint Ober, the discoverer of earthing for modern man. First, there was Carol Alt, who spoke about body care. And with that comes the realization for millions of women that earthing is the holy grail for beauty care. But the main event was Dr. Christine.
All right, so he just said like grounding, earthing, it balances the hemispheres of your brain, the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of your brain. That's coupled with loads of other natural ways of living that balances the body and the mind. It's like if we just had a whole life based off of natural living, we would just be balanced. But hey, we wearing rubber shoes, right? So hey, nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? There's a time and space for everything. So now that we kind of can bridge this picture together, like, yo, okay, we are electrical beings. And we for sure, at least to some degree, need to think on an energetic basis in order to stay healthy. Because we learned just now that, grounding is connecting me back to the source of all that is life, nature, the sun and the earth, and it creates circulation within my body. And not only that, it creates so much circulation within my body that it balances the hemispheres of my brain and it balances the cells inside of my body. So me just thinking logically now with this information, it sounds like it's wise for me to put my feet on the ground a little bit every day if I wanted to at least balance out some health within my body. So that's just one thing. The other thing was the water, because we know water is important, right? So we need to watch what we're doing with our water. We can research a myriad of ways to get clean water and non-fluoridated water. That's just a personal journey. I don't have the answers to all of what we're doing, but what I can do is I know what we shouldn't do. And so that leads me towards what I should do, right? Reverse thinking. So I know we shouldn't be drinking water with fluoride in it, all right? And I know that we shouldn't be necessarily, not that we shouldn't, but like we should be connected to the earth, man. That's all I can say to you. Like should is a strong word, but if you were earthling, I suggest you be connected to the earth if you wish to live a harmonic life with no disease. So we want to keep it pushing. The next thing was now this is just this one more, you know what I'm saying? We got Sadhguru over here. You know, I want to give him the screen time simply because I like Sadhguru, you know what I mean? Like he a G, man. I don't really know him like that, but I read his books. I'm still reading that Inner Engineering book. You know, I like Sadhguru. I like the knowledge he give out. You know, he's a wise man. So let's hear what he got to say.
Available on the planet is phenomenal.
Of walking barefoot. Also, is there additional physical and spiritual benefits of walking barefoot on Amavasya and Shivaratri days?
Recently, somebody said this just a week ago or 10 days ago. This was published because, you know, M.F. Hussain died. You know this? M.F. Hussain, the artist, died. So one of his most recent interviews, which he did with a famous or a well-known anchor in this country, Hussain died in London at the age of 92. He remained very active and energetic till the last day. So what is the secret? I think this interview was taken just 3 months before his death. What is the secret of your longevity, energy, and health? He said just 2 things: eat less, walk barefoot. You know, this has been an issue with him. There have been many controversies where he was not allowed into certain very elite clubs barefoot, but he always insisted he walks barefoot. So for him to live long and healthy, this is the recipe he gave: eat less, walk barefoot. It was very amusing for me to hear him say that. Right now, a new range of footwear is becoming very popular in United States, which is called as barefoot, where the shoes are made with this, just like the feet, very thin, some kind of special synthetic material which makes it feel like you're walking barefoot, but it doesn't feel like a thick sole, almost barefoot. For running shoes, climbing shoes, regular walking shoes, all kinds, called barefoot. It's nice that you're asking this question just now. So what is the significance of barefoot? Especially those of you who find your body is not integrated enough. Constantly it's troubling you.
So I'll leave it there. That's just one wise words from the guru himself. He's advocating for the barefootness, man. Eat less, walk barefooted, bro. Like, healthy life. That's just basic knowledge. Like, basic knowledge of being a human being. Or maybe it was occult knowledge. Maybe it was secret knowledge. Maybe only those who knew the secret of nature, the secret, natural secret. It's not that secret. It's trying to keep it, make it look pseudo. But we're changing that up. So there you have it. Grounding is very important because you are an electrical being, and it is important to connect back to the earth. Don't think of it too much as disconnected. Think about grounding, just connecting to the earth. You know what I'm saying? Connect back to what you are naturally, and everything will go okay. And so the next thing I want to really move on to, this time is of essence, food. Because the food, we're going to check in really quick. We're going to check in with my time. I think I'm good. What is it? Yeah, because the food is the next way that they got us really, see this really good. So we got water, our connection to the earth, right? That's being, that's leading to our demise. Also, one more thing on this walking barefoot. Oh no, I'll go into that. Yeah, I'll add this one because we need to understand how the earth really does, like what the earth is going through. So next we're going to talk about what's going on with the earth. Right now, we need to get back connected to the earth just as much as we need to begin to help the earth, because we've been so disconnected from the earth, which shows by our way of living, because we've been so disconnected from ourselves because we don't see that we are connected to the earth, right? Because we wouldn't put our feet on the earth, and we would think that the dirt is dirty and we shouldn't put our feet on the dirt type shit. It's crazy. But like, we're so disconnected from ourselves and from the earth that we've been living on it in a way that it's been not sustainable, like I said. And so this had led to us digging into the earth and, learning through trial and error, essentially, on how to do agriculture. Or maybe certain people are putting certain chemicals inside of the soil that are then having negative or long-term effects on the soil. And so now the soil is going extinct because the first 6 layers of the soil is pretty dry and it's not healthy in a sense where it has a good microbiome because we've dug it all up and we've been constantly digging it up and it's been getting oxygenated or oxidized, and there hasn't been a good ecosystem that gives back to the soil that we've created on a collective level, like composting, collective composting, putting all of our trash and all of our food back into the soil directly instead of putting it inside of a plastic trash bag, covering up the earth's food and then putting it on an island where there's a bunch of trash. It's like all of that food can go back to the earth and let the animals and the worms and the bees and the flies eat that shit up, and then it's going to turn back into the soil, just like your poop. So that's the solution, really. So we need to understand what's going on, that this shit is real. This is a video by Conscious Planet. What is the solution to soil extinction that the planet is facing? This video was posted 1 year ago. This is a relative problem. They say that if we don't change, we could experience this shit within 2023 or 2025. So let's get it.
The important solution is that as there is a law in a city, how to manage and build in an urban land, similarly, there needs to be a law which is incentive-based for the farmers, that if you own a land, if you own agricultural land, minimum organic content should be there. 3% is considered the minimum organic content. If that is not there, microbial life will not survive. If microbial life does not survive, life on this planet will not survive. So we need laws, but you cannot make punitive laws. They have to be incentive-based laws. Farmers who raise their organic content to 3% organic content in their fields must be given substantial incentive, and then industry and business can work out a carbon credit system. That will be a second level of incentive. The third level of incentive will be if food is raised in rich organic content soils, that will find a higher level of marketplace, that will create better nutrients for the people and better health and preventive health for the people and many other benefits for the country in terms of healthy and happy people who will become more creative and productive. So these are the 3 levels of incentives that we must come up with in this COP15 and make it a part of not only Cote d'Ivoire, but also the entire world, that farmers should get these 3 incentives. And also there's one big problem that not many people are going into farming right now because it's not lucrative enough. It's important a farmer earns at least as much as a doctor, engineer and lawyer or whoever else. So otherwise everybody will move into cities, nobody will live on the farms. It's very, very important that people should live on the land because land is the basis of our life.
Well, damn, that's just simply said by him. I really wanted to show y'all more shock value video. But not to get too far on that, just understand that right now you can research this right now. The earth under you is dying. And I do believe that the earth is an infinite creator, just like we all are. I think the main important message, just even being able to see how all of this is connecting, because I'm showing y'all a myriad of different problems that humanity is going through, and the answer to them all is the same thing. And so this video is really just to show y'all that everything that we're doing is leading to one place, and nobody wants to look at that. But when we look at that, we then have greater insight as to where we want to go. So I'm just not afraid to look at it as it is, because I want to do change now, right? As soon as possible, and not get caught up in the shit that's going to make us feel good until we fucking don't have shit else. You know what I'm saying? Well, I mean, this will make us feel good in the longevity of things, doing things the right way. So there you have soil, that's the earth, and water, right? So you got that. Why do you understand why it's important that we work with the earth? Because we are the earth. You understand that we are the earth because grounding literally shows you that you are connected to the earth and you are fucking, your body comes from the earth. I told you, you already know that. And also your water, which is very important because your body is 70% of water. So you want to make sure that all the liquids that are coming inside of your body, if anything, are coming from the most organic sources and have the most organic ingredients or anything inside of them. So if you're not getting water directly from a spring, most of the time, I'm sure you can get water from coconut water or water from a watermelon or water from fruits. So these are things you can hydrate your body with on a very natural way, without fluoride if you can. So, you know, like those, that's just where we're at, right? So now we want to talk about food. Now, food is the next thing because food is what also matters in this race. Because when we talk about soil, we talk about food, right? We talk about the earth, we talk about food. We got earth, water, soil, food. The earth and soil is the same thing. So food, let's get to it. So what's important about food is that food is a whole nother thing, man. It's such a broad topic. And so I just want to keep it very simple if I can, actually. With food, the important thing to know is we have to eat more naturally. We have to eat more organically. It's wise to eat more naturally. It's wise to eat more organically. It's wise to be mindful of what you're putting inside of your body. It's just like with anything. And it's wise to have the most natural sources if you can, or the most organic sources if you can, or the most farm-raised sources if you can. You know, you want to know that whether you're eating meat, vegetables, or fruits, that all of these things are grown in a sustainable or healthy way, and they're healthy, you know? And so this is where it comes to like processed foods. I think we should stay away from processed foods, processed oils if we can. You know, like I understand we're not perfect because all this shit is being handed to us. So when it comes to food, getting close to organic. And right now, this is an interesting topic because there's a lot of GMO foods and there's a lot of hormones and there's a lot of stuff being pumped into our food for convenience of having more food, or for convenience of giving our bodies allegedly more fulfillment, right? Because you would eat a chicken that's pumped full of hormones because it was bigger, it was genetically like, or you would eat a chicken that was way bigger because it was genetically modified, or eat a mango or fruit that was way bigger because it was genetically modified to be that way, just so you can have more. And then you look at the organic one and it's way smaller or something, right? It's like, what's going on? All right, maybe that's the illusion, but like, this is just how they're playing with us, right? So my thing with genetically modified foods, when it comes to our food, genetically modified and processed foods, is that they don't give us the nutrients that natural and organic foods would give us. Like, you can eat raw chicken or eat a wild chicken and you will be straight compared to you eating like a genetically modified chicken. It is not the same because one has been modified from the natural intention, from God's natural intention. And so because it's modified, it's not as potent as it once was, right? And because it's not as potent as it once was, unless they did some modification to where the genome is changed to be more potent, right? In which now that's a whole nother download about whether or not this genetically modified organism is going to go inside of your body, and then you will become part of that genetically modified organism, or your body would just break down that genetically modified organism into nothingness and then use it for what it can use it for. But yeah, so I just think that there's not the same, like we're not living in the same world with genetically modified foods and processed foods, so it's important that we do our best. And so I'm going to show you the brevity of these genetically modified foods, because you know we got seedless and seeded fruits now. I'm still doing the research on seedless and seeded fruits for us family, but I want to show y'all something. Bill Gates, who advocates GMOs, like how they see it, because it can come off quite like, oh yeah, like genetically modified foods are gonna save us. But then when you realize genetically modified foods are gonna save us, that's just the same thing as getting further away from nature. Why don't we just keep it organic and put all of our energy towards that and just do the work so that we can do that? But you know, convenience is not about doing the work, right? So it ain't got nothing to do
Is
with
the
it.
role that GMOs and and modification and creating purpose-built role that GMO, I guess, would be more controversial here in.
I'm gonna let him propose this question so you can know why they're saying what they're saying. So this is Bill and Melinda Gates. All right.
Supply chain. Another, which I guess would be more controversial here in Europe in particular, is the role that GMOs and modification and creating purpose-built seeds that will deal with the particular problems of the developing world, what role that can play.
We think you need to have both types of seeds, natural seeds and also GMOs. But we think ultimately it's up to the Africans to decide. The seeds have to be adapted to their climate. They have to grow them in test labs, which they're doing.
And they're trying to spread these GMO seeds all over the world. They're trying to get them in Africa. They're trying to get Africans to do this. Africans don't care about that.
And in test beds.
But I know they will, because the way this shit is running.
Ultimately have to decide what's right for their country and their market. If you look at any country that's moved from a low to middle income country, they got their agriculture sector right. 7 out of 10 adults in Africa are farmers, and they primarily farm plots that are around an acre to 2 hectares. And so they need to have seeds that they know can survive in the climate. You all were talking about climate change earlier. As it comes to Africa, it's going to disproportionately affect the poor. And so having a drought-resistant maize, which is a GMO, where an African farmer, male or female, can get 20 to 30% additional yield off of their farm, we think it's up to Kenya and Tanzania and South Africa to decide, is that right for their economy? And is that the way they want to feed people in their own country? Of our investments, of all the investments we make in agriculture, and we make about 400 million in the sector, less than 5% of them are in the GMO technology, but we do believe it's something that ought to be available. One of the natural technologies is rice, a rice that is not GMO, that can be flood resistant, that is sit in a field. When the rains come in Africa, a lot of rice is also grown in Africa. When the rains come, they're coming longer and for deeper periods. And so having a rice that's more flood resistant and can sit there in water for 2 or 3 weeks is also incredibly important. But we think that the Africans ought to get to decide which crops they grow in which ways and which seeds.
The strongest analogy is to medicines. And, is there something to worry about with medicines? That is, might some of them have side effects? Do we need safety testing? I mean, and we're taking things that are, genetically modified organisms, and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein. So yeah, I think maybe we should have a safety system where we, do trials and test things out. The idea, though, that you would take a technique that
maybe, bro, you should have one. But I see what you're saying. Yeah, maybe you should.
Promises to solve nutrition problems, solves productivity problems, solves crop disease problems for African farmers, where it's absolutely a life and death issue for them. And you would say, oh, nothing that uses that technique should possibly use. And it's so random. What's considered in GMO and what's not considered GMO, irradiating things and making having multiple chromosomes, that's not GMO. Whereas things where you intentionally insert in things in a very careful known way, that is GMO. And in fact, you can't even tell once you have the results, the idea of how it was derived. There's no natural breeding can create exactly those same things. So I do think the Africans ought to have a sovereign right. Take cassava disease. It's spreading throughout the continent. It's a very important crop. There is in the labs being worked on a GMO cassava that will stop mosaic disease. And should African countries be told no, let that disease run rampant. It's okay. It creates starvation and malnutrition.
Also, say they should have the right to export those crops to Europe.
No, every country should be
So as you can see, they're advocating hella hard for this GMOs, and I think that they think that these GMOs could really help save. But truthfully, it's just the plague on the planet is the consciousness that has been driving. That's been the driving force. It's not like it's been the level of consciousness that these politicians and people like Bill Gates that have been in power, they're the problem. Because they're so fucking separate from nature, they just don't see, they don't see the message. They don't see it, they don't see the big point somehow, or they do see the point and they just ignorant. And that's what they support, ignorance. Even though they're the smartest motherfuckers, they are creating a reality for you to be ignorant. And they're not even ignorant. That's the craziest. They're ignorant in a whole nother way. These niggas know. They're choosing. You don't know. You don't have a sometimes you don't have a choice. You know what I mean? So, and they like it like that. So I'm gonna show you one more, because y'all just so you know, this is what this shit is about right now.
Using some biological approach
To address food scarcity with the concerns that many have around GMOs.
Right, so genetically modified organisms, that's where you create a new seed by using some biological approach that changes the gene. One example is you can put a gene in that prevents the plant from getting disease. And so a disease that's wiping out the crops of poor people and causing tens of thousands to starve, you can get rid of that. The techniques we're using here were actually invented for human medicine. And in the case of human medicine, we don't have a total ban on all drugs that are created this way, nor do we have a total acceptance. What we do is each drug gets created, it's trialed, and then each country has scientists who look at, okay, what are the benefits and what are the risks of that new drug, and they decide. And it's a very sophisticated system that's trying to maximize human welfare. For plants, it's going to be the same. That is, to a priori say, no, we don't want that seed that blocks disease. That's dooming the poorest to never have this kind of tool. And it'd be ironic, since many of these advances are creating things like drought tolerance that poor people only need because rich people have been emitting so much CO2 that the climate conditions are worse for those poor people. Now, making sure that there's that science.
He said the rich people have been emitting so much CO2 that it's creating climate change for the poor people. What a cycle. And he talks about how depopulation is becoming important because of so much CO2 emissions, and how death may be an answer to that, but that's another topic.
Scientific depth so that they can analyze crop by crop. That's something that the foundation is helping to invest in, but each country will have its own decisions. And there are in the pipeline some fantastic crops that need to be looked at. We have decades of experience where All
right, so there you have it. These are the advocates for GMOs right now. And yeah, it's a lot of stuff going on. I think that if these guys are creating GMOs because of their fear of diseases and trying to create crops that don't catch diseases, I mean, they're already living backwards. So I would see why they would fear diseases. If they actually were living in harmony with themselves and nature, they wouldn't have to fear such things like diseases, right? Like, we're so sophisticated, but we live in backwards. And so this is what's going on with the food. Not just this is what's going on with the food. There's so much stuff going on with the foods regarding parasites in the food because of the way that all these meats are being left inside of the markets for ages. And then they like to put certain types of, I don't know what it is right now. I can look it up, but trust me, take my word for it. I can just, I just type it in. They put all types of stuff inside of the meats so that it can stay on the shelf longer. Preservatives, there we go. And even preservatives that make the meat look like it's fresher. It just changes the color of the meat. But the meat's probably been there for like a week or longer, sitting in the same spot type shit. And then, dead energy, dead animals sitting inside of a market without the preservatives. What happens when you see something dead on the side of the road for a long period of time? gnats start to come out of it. It starts to go through its natural decomposition situation. So then little like parasites and stuff like that starts to flow or come from it. Besides that though, just where was I going with that? Damn, I forgot where I was going with that. But yeah, you know, just understanding food, yo. Like that's all I can say. Like understand food and what you're doing, you know what I mean, and what's going on with the processes inside of your body. Okay. And so, oh, we was talking about GMOs. I'm not trying to get caught up. We were talking about food, and oh yeah. So there you have it, tribe. Like that's with the food, as you know, like food is very important. Is what we put inside of our body. We want the most organic food possible. We want the most nutrient dense natural foods possible. And we want them, you know what I'm saying? You want those animals to be treated with love and care. If you're going to eat animals, and you want to make sure that it's organic, you want to make sure this animal has eaten good or something, or you want to at least make sure that there's no like parasites inside of that an animal, because animals can eat anything. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to be mindful. You really do. That's the only way you can come out of this shit confident and good. So that's it with the food. And the next thing I did want to talk about, I believe, was the sun. Your connection to the sun. Okay, you have a connection to the sun, and this is going to end it here. You have a connection to the sun. So we talked about the earth. You have a connection to the sun. You have the sun, the earth, the sun, the earth. You have a connection to it. And when you get out into the sun, like the earth, you create circulation within your body. It's like the sun is sending signals to your body so that it can start to regulate and circulate certain things. Actually, if you get out in the sunlight more, you will start to have a healthier system inside of your body. Especially if you work out in nature, or you go jogging in nature, you put your feet in nature, you get out, you get some sunlight, and you make a healthy lifestyle based off of getting some sunlight and putting your feet on the earth and eating natural foods and drinking clean water and eating organic foods. And you have this whole little thing as if you were living on a farm, you'd be straight. So today I want to show you the basics of your connection to the sun that you can take home with you if you do not take home the esoteric understanding that I might bring into the end of this video.
How do you know when it's time to sleep or time to wake up in the morning? More powerful than any alarm clock are your own circadian rhythms.
So your circadian rhythm is a rhythm that is based off of the sun going up and down over the horizon. And you know, when you wake up, when the sun goes over the horizon, you naturally wake up. And then when the sun goes down, you naturally go to sleep. So how this process works is what this lady is going to describe.
24-hour cycles of biological processes that exist in every living thing. They keep your body functioning on schedule, day and night, wherever you are. And the key to it all is a bunch of cells in the retina of the eye called photosensitive retinal ganglion cells. Whilst the eye's rod and cone cells are responsible for vision, these retinal ganglion cells detect the brightness of our surroundings and send that information through the optic nerve to the suprachiasmatic nuclei, the brain's master clock. The master clock coordinates all the tiny clocks that govern the behavior of the cells throughout the body. Taking light as its cue, the master clock determines a continuous cycle of physiological changes within our cells, including the production of hormones that prepare our bodies for waking and sleeping hours. Experiments show that when a person is kept entirely in the dark, their circadian rhythm hardly alters, keeping more or less to a 24-hour day. But seeing too much or too little light, or receiving light at the wrong times of day, can leave the master clock confused as to the time of day. This upsets the rhythm of our cells and impacts on our health and well-being. It's a real problem for people who work at night, those with sleep disorders, and also those with certain visual impairments that prevent light reaching those light-detecting ganglion cells. Studies have shown that disruptions to our natural rhythms put an extraordinary strain on the body, increasing the risk of a number of serious diseases, including cancer, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and depression. It can also impair your ability to think, which is why here at Oxford, we're researching whether delaying the start of the school day by an hour or two to better suit the body clock of the average teenager could improve their exam results. Anyone for a lie-in? You may not be able to hear it ticking, but you can certainly feel your body clock at work. To learn more about the science of sleep and circadian rhythms, visit www.oxfordsparks.ox.ac.uk.
All right, that's a cute little video. There was another video I want to show y'all. It's gonna be a little deeper, but I'm gonna give y'all context.
He make of all this? Well, he didn't write anything about it in The Origin of Species, but much later in 1871, he did it.
All right, so this is Nina Jablonski from NASA. All right, she's gonna be talking about how sunlight, different forms of sunlight affects our psychology, and different forms of sunlight affects our biology, and how it's important that when we understand who we are biologically and psychologically, then you can align yourself in a certain geographical area to be more in harmony with yourself, because you a multidimensional being at the end of the day, right? And so to understand your connection to the sun is to understand your connection to light. And so you will understand what I mean by that when she goes deeper into this video. And I'm not gonna have y'all waiting too long in there because she likes to talk, you know what I'm saying? And I don't 100% agree with the theories that she talk about regarding Charles Darwin, the fact that any of that have anything to do with anything. But she's just gonna show you your relationship to light as a melanated being, or what people call a brown person, or a person who can go inside the sun and get darker. Okay, so here we go.
He knew that skin color was one of the most important ways in which people varied. And he was somewhat interested in the pattern of skin color. He knew that darkly pigmented peoples were found close to the equator. Lightly pigmented peoples, like himself, were found closer to the poles. So what did he make of all this? Well, he didn't write anything about it in The Origin of Species. But much later, in 1871, he did have something to say about it, and it was quite curious. He said, of all the differences between the races of men, the color of the skin is the most conspicuous and one of the best marked. And he went on to say, these differences do not coincide with corresponding differences in climates. Now, there have been a series of TOMS satellites that have collected data about radiation at the Earth's surface.
Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna fast forward to where this needs to be. I want to show y'all directly.
Show the annual average ultraviolet radiation at the Earth's surface. The TOMS 7 satellite data shown here show the annual average ultraviolet radiation at the Earth's surface. Now, the really hot pink and red areas are those parts of the world that receive the highest amounts of UV during the year. The incrementally cooler colors, blues, greens, yellows, and finally grays, indicate areas of much lower ultraviolet radiation. What's significant to the story of human skin pigmentation is just how much of the northern hemisphere is in these cool gray zones. This has tremendous implications for our understanding of the evolution of human skin pigmentation. And what Darwin could not appreciate, or didn't perhaps want to appreciate at the time, is that there was a fundamental relationship between the intensity of ultraviolet radiation and skin pigmentation, and that skin pigmentation itself was a product of evolution. And so when we look at a map of skin color and predicted skin color as we know it today, what we see is a beautiful gradient from the darkest skin pigmentations toward the equator and the lightest ones.
So obviously they're assuming that the closer you are to the equator, the darker pigmented you would be, the further away you are from, okay, I'll just say it like this. The closer you are to the sun, the darker pigmented you would be, the further away you are from the sun, the lighter pigmented you will be. So that's why in the equator, that allegedly where it's closer to the sun, you see all of this, which obviously she's saying, I'm just simplifying that.
toward the poles. Now, what's very, very important here is that the earliest humans evolved in high UV environments in equatorial Africa. The earliest members of our lineage, the genus Homo, were darkly pigmented. And we all share this incredible heritage of having originally been darkly pigmented 2 million to 1.5 million years ago. Now, what happened in our history?
No, I just want y'all to, I want y'all, like, what is going on right here, yo? So with this crazy ass fucking ad. I want y'all, oh, that was wild. I want y'all to really pay attention though, what she about to say.
Just look at the relationship of ultraviolet radiation to the Earth's surface. In those early days of our evolution, living at the equator, we were bombarded by high levels of ultraviolet radiation. The UVC, the most energetic type, was occluded by the Earth's atmosphere, but UVB and UVA especially came in unimpeded. UVB turns out to be incredibly important. It's very destructive, but it also catalyzes the production of vitamin D in the skin. Vitamin D being a molecule that we very much need for our strong bones, the health of our immune system, and myriad other important functions in our bodies. So living at the equator, we got lots and lots of ultraviolet radiation, and the melanin, this wonderful, complex, ancient polymer compound in our skin, served as a superb natural sunscreen. This polymer is amazing because it's present in so many different organisms. Melanin in various forms has probably been on the Earth 1 billion years and has been recruited over and over again by evolution, as often happens. Why change it if it works? So melanin was recruited in our lineage.
Okay. Let's see. So at this point, she's talking about
Into the New World. When humans dispersed into these latitudes, what did they face? Well, conditions were significantly colder, but they were also less intense with respect to the ultraviolet regime. So if we're somewhere in the Northern Hemisphere, look at what's happening to the ultraviolet radiation. We're still getting a dose of UVA, but all of the UVB, or nearly all of it, is dissipated through the thickness of the atmosphere. In the winter, when you are skiing in the Alps, you may experience ultraviolet radiation, but it's all UVA, and significantly, that UVA has no ability to make vitamin D in your skin. So people inhabiting northern hemispheric environments were bereft of the potential to make vitamin D in their skin for most of the year. This had tremendous consequences for the evolution of human skin pigmentation, because what happened, in order to ensure health and well-being, these lineages of people dispersing into the northern hemisphere lost their pigmentation. There was natural selection for. So how can we overcome this? How can we begin to understand it? Evolution helps us. 200 years after Darwin's birthday, we have the first moderately pigmented president of the United States. How wonderful is that?
whoa,
This man is significant for a whole host of reasons.
right?
But we need to think about how he compares in terms of his pigmentation to other people on Earth. He, as one of many urban admixed populations, is very emblematic of a mixed parentage, mixed pigmentation, and he resembles very closely people with moderate levels of pigmentation who live in Southern Africa or Southeast Asia. These people have a tremendous potential to tan, to develop more pigment in their skin as a result of exposure to sun. They also run the risk of vitamin D deficiency if they have desk jobs like that guy. So let's all wish for his great health and his awareness of his own skin pigmentation. Now, what is wonderful about the evolution of human skin pigment.
There you have it. I'm pretty sure by now you get the idea that your skin, yourself, your cells are connected to the celestial bodies in the sky. And that means that when you connect with the sun, you're getting connected with the natural elements of reality. And the only thing life or the natural elements of reality, things like the sun and the earth has for you, is health. It seems like that, like, not to be too broad, but like that's just what that is so far as what I've seen. And I was gonna take this shit a bit deeper to go show y'all what's up on an esoteric level, on a very deeper knowledge way on how we are light entities experiencing these bodies. We're pure light, and we have dimensions of ourselves that we even came through. We're multidimensional beings. But I think that'll just be a whole nother thing. I'm just gonna close this out here. Let me see. Stop screen sharing. And there you have it. That was beautiful. That was beautiful, honestly. So if you guys got any value from this video, this is Nu.L again. It's been quite insightful getting to share this with you guys, and yeah, like or comment below and share this video with anybody who you feel like it is important to share it with, because we got to wake up, and we are waking up. And this is just a reminder, a kick push, because we all live in here, right? We're all living, not just here together. And we see a lot of the situations that are happening on the planet regarding the soil, regarding the water, regarding the food, regarding the way we're living, wearing rubber shoes, wearing certain clothes, or anything that insulates us from the earth and insulate us from nature, that creates stagnancy within our body, mind, and soul. You know what I'm saying? And, being away from the sun too much, or being inside of a house, or having too many desk jobs, or being inside the house all day and not being out in the sun creates certain levels of mental illnesses. It's called seasonal depression when you don't have enough sunlight. So it's important for you to tap in with yourself on these dimensions. And when we can individually find a way to create better habits upon these things within ourselves, we get closer to coming together to put our resources together to create a sustainable way for a community. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to just be for you. It can be for a community. Maybe you know somebody who got land. Maybe that person knows somebody who knows how to filter water. Maybe that person knows somebody who knows how to build. Maybe that person knows somebody who knows how to create copper shoes. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? Point is that this is why community is important, because when we have moments to share information, we use that information and we be progressive and we forward think with it, and that's how we get evolution done. And right now, I think based off of what you saw, yes, humanity has gone down one way, but it seems like all the ideas that they applied haven't been fully checked by anyone who is holistic. And so we're just putting ourselves in a situation. It's kind of like someone saying, hey, I don't know how to swim, but should I jump in the water and save that person? It's like, well, that's a cool thought. That was a good idea. Yet there's a lot more to make that idea a bit more efficient. Like, let's get you swimming first so we can ensure that you get out too. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a very like it's a lose-lose, but it's a possible win-lose. You know what I'm saying? It's a possible win-win, but it's let's think that through. So with that being said, Nu.L flowing out and flowing in to always tapping into my purpose. Peace and love to y'all. I didn't even have to do that one, to be honest with you.